in Toronto. Because
Yeah, I heard about that. The air quality is not good there, right?
the sky is
Yeah.
all orangish, which is very, very unusual.
Yeah, I saw few of my friends told me there.
Yeah. Were you in the GTA when you were living in Canada, Vinny?
Yes, I was in on like Scarborough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not too far from here. Mohit, Jitin, morning.
What's going on?
Morning, everyone.
We're just talking about the colored sky that we've been seeing for the last 1 2 days. So Jitin, Mohit, I was just talking to Vinitha, who I've been coordinating with. Vinitha was here working for CIBC, so she was living in Scarborough a few years back, and now she works Christ.
Hi, Jiten. Hi, Mohit.
Hey, you guys mostly like you guys on in the campus or you guys are on the personal PCs? Like
Sorry, I'm not able
mostly.
to hear you.
Can you hear me
Audible?
now?
I can hear Mohit.
Is it good?
Yes.
I was just asking the guys out there in India. Are you guys remotely in the campus or on the personal PCs?
We are in the campus.
In the campus, great.
So, how's the campus? Tell us more about that. We want to hear some great things about what's going on in the campus this week.
I think we have a lot of new things coming up here. I'm new, like I just joined like 4 months back, so I'm not really sure to talk about the infrastructure here.
Yeah, I was watching a video recently, Jitin and Mohit. They have pool table and all.
Yeah.
Very fancy facilities now compared to our days.
Yeah. Everyone, please feel free to like turn on your cameras. I think it would be good to see your faces as well.
Yeah, we were expecting to see a bunch of nice, smiling, aspiring, full of energy faces, but all we see is just names and some A, V, S. Come on, guys.
The reason is we want to see if someone is frowning when we are presenting.
Exactly, or yawning and sleeping, or so that we understand that okay, it's time for us to shut up now.
Yeah, we'd love to see some reactions.
No pressure, guys. We're just
Vinny, we'll leave it up to you. We have a hard stop, unfortunately, all the three of us, right? Because I want you all to understand that it's a working day, just to make sure that we can get maximum participation, so that when Jitin, Mohit, myself, and we are taking time preparing something, thinking that it will benefit all of you, we wanted to make sure that there is maximum participation, maximum benefit out of this session. So let's get started. Vinny, I'll leave it up to you if you're waiting for some key participants.
Yes, Sreejit, we can wait for like 2 more minutes and then get started. Rishikesh sir will be joining. So,
I'm
Okay.
here. I'm here. I'm very much here.
oh yeah, okay. Yes, sir, and we can get started.
Is someone recording this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
A very warm good afternoon to one and all present here. On behalf of the Christ Team to be University, Bangalore, and the Office of Alumni Engagement, it is my privilege and honor to warmly welcome each one of you to the third session of the Global Connect Series webinar, Canada chapter. The Global Connect series serves as a platform that brings together our esteemed alumni and the wider Christ community to exchange knowledge, experiences, and perspectives that inspire students and fellow alumni alike. Through these sessions, we continue to strengthen our global network and foster meaningful connection that transcend geographical boundaries. Today, we are delighted to present a session titled Navigating Careers in Canada, Alumni Insights and Experiences. This webinar aims to provide valuable insights into pursuing and building a successful career in Canada through the experiences of accomplished Christ alumni. Participants will gain a deeper understanding of the industrial expectations, workplace culture, professional growth opportunities, and practical strategies for navigating the Canadian job market and achieving long term career success. Canada has been recognized as a destination that offers exceptional career opportunities, a dynamic professional ecosystem, and an inclusive work culture. Home to diverse industries and highly skilled workforce, it provides aspiring professionals with countless avenues for growth and success. However, building a successful career in Canada requires more than technical expertise. It demands adaptability, continuous learning, and a strong understanding of the industry expectations and workplace culture. To help us truly understand this professional landscape, we are incredibly privileged to be joined today by three accomplished Christ alumni who have successfully built their careers in Canada. Please join in me welcoming our esteemed panel, Mr. Jitin Joseph, Mr. Mohit Grover, Mr. Sreejit Andrews. Through their diverse experiences, unique journeys, and hard earned insights, they'll share invaluable guidance on navigating the Canadian job market and building a rewarding, truly global career. Before we proceed, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge and express our sincere gratitude to the distinguished leaders and members whose vision, guidance, and unwavering support continue to strengthen the alumni community and make initiatives as much as these possible. We extend our deepest gratitude to Reverend Dr. Joe C.C., Vice Chancellor, for his visionary leadership and unwavering engagement towards fostering meaningful alumni engagement. We also express our sincere appreciation to Reverend Dr. Viju PD, Pro Vice Chancellor, and Reverend Dr. Verghese KJ, Chief Finance Officer, Christ Deemed to be University, for their constant support and encouragement in strengthening alumni driven initiatives and fostering meaningful engagement within the Christ community. Our heartfelt thanks are due to Reverend Dr. Joe C.C., Director, Alumni Chapter, Christ Deemed to be University, for his unwavering commitment and continued efforts towards building stronger connection among Christites across the globe. We sincerely thank Brigadier B.G. Jagadish, Director of Center for Placements, Career Guidance, and Office of Alumni Engagement, for his leadership and continued support. We also extend our sincere appreciation to Dr. Rishikesh KB, Associate Director, Office of Alumni Engagement, for his invaluable guidance and support in making this webinar possible. A special word of thanks to Mr. Cherian, Alumni Mentor of Canada Chapter, and Ms. Teresa Joy, President of the Canada Alumni Chapter, for their continued encouragement and support in strengthening the Global Christ Alumni Network. We would also like to acknowledge the dedicated efforts of Ms. Renju Matthew and Ms. Vinita Lalu, alumni coordinators, whose meticulous planning and tireless efforts have been instrumental in the successful organization of this webinar. As we move forward with today's program, it is my honor to invite Dr. Rishikesh KB, Associate Director, Office of Alumni Engagement, to deliver the introductory note and formally set the tone for today's webinar. Sir, please.
Thank you, Serene. Thank you, all the Christites proud alumni, for having accepted our invitation, joining for this webinar. I'll take about 2 minutes to set the context. I'm yet to reach home, but I thought it's important that I share some of my thoughts. So when we think of Canada, we often think of a lot of opportunities. We think about diversity, quality of life, and a society built on inclusion. But behind every successful profile on the LinkedIn, I think there lies a far less glamorous story, which is about how they battle with the uncertainties, or the countless applications that they would have processed before they landed up in what they showcase in the social media. And I think there might have also been a cultural adaptation, or sometimes even cultural shock, and learning about new systems. And this is not just in Canada, it happens in any country that people generally do migrate. And our objective today with this webinar, or the series of webinar which we started last year and which we are continuing, is not merely to discuss the careers in Canada. I mean, this is not a job orientation. It is, I think, our larger agenda is to understand the journey behind those careers, because there are decisions that matter. There might be people whom they would have relied on or trusted, or there might also be mistakes that became lessons later on. before they build or identified opportunities and build resilience, transforming their aspirations into achievements. And that's exactly what we are trying to understand through this sort of an interaction. And we are really grateful, as I said, for having fine time on a working day, as I had mentioned, because what we want is not from the textbook, or what we are looking for is your lived experiences at Canada and from the workspace. So I'm sure for the students and all the alumni have joined here, I would want everyone to encourage asking questions and also bring a wider perspective through your deeper probing. So let's make this more interactive, more engaging. And once again, I wish to thank and welcome all three of you for having accepted on behalf of the Office of Alumni Engagement and also on behalf of the Christ University. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rishikesh KB, for your insightful words and for laying the foundation for today's discussion. Now, it's my privilege to introduce our keynote speakers for this third session of the Global Connect Series webinar, Canada chapter. We are privileged to have with us an esteemed panel of accomplished Christ alumni, each of whom has built a successful professional journey in Canada. To begin, it's my honor to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Mohit Grover. Mr. Mohit, a distinguished alumnus of Christ Deemed to be University, Bangalore, belonging to the MBA in Finance class of 2010. Mr. Mohit is currently serving as Senior Vice President at Solactive AG in Canada and has built an impressive career in the fields of investment management, quantitative research, and financial markets. He joins us today to share his professional journey, the experiences that shaped his career, and valuable insights into navigating opportunities in Canada's financial services industry. Without further ado, I warmly invite Mr. Mohit to address the gathering. Sir, the screen is now yours.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you,
Mohit,
Sreejit.
you can see my screen, guys. Sorry to interrupt. You can see my screen.
I can.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and everyone can hear me clearly, right? Perfect. Okay, thank you everyone, and a warm good evening to everyone. I really appreciate taking our time. Dr. Rishikesh set the tone right as well, and I must thank all of you. As you can see my name on the screen, my name is Mohit. I'm from the 2008-2010 batch with my wonderful colleagues here, Sreejit and Chitin. We're part of the campus life there as well. I was part of the MBA Finance as a specialization. I moved here in 2016, March. I'm currently working as Senior Vice President at Solactive. We are an equity indexing company where we produce financial benchmarks. These are used for ETFs, structured products, and all the financial products that you see in the passive investment landscape. Before Solactive, I was working with RBC for a year on their tech department. Before moving to Canada, I was working at Amba Research in Bangalore. That was one of my first jobs out there after passing out from the Christ. And I also had a stint at Axis Bank in the trade department. I currently manage a global team out of Toronto, Frankfurt, and Hong Kong, supporting the clients, setting up the indices, and enabling them on their wealth management, investment management landscape. I don't want to spend too much time on my personal introduction, kind of available everywhere, but instead I want to focus on why I moved here, what led to the move, and some focus on some of the finance careers. And I'm not kind of claiming how to build a successful career, but I will share my journey and what I learned and what you can basically take out from that journey as well. So without kind of delaying further, so finance is kind of like a very global, in a very broader aspect as a term. But there are some key areas like banking, financial services, market data. This is where I come in, corporate finance, capital markets, kind of a very broader landscape is something that are kind of widely available to research as well. Why I moved to Canada, it's kind of like My initial thought and kind of a journey kind of originated in India, as most of you guys up there as well. Um, and while I was working at Amber Research, I was already working as a part of the global teams as well. And I wanted to kind of experience this global landscape, global diversity, and that was one of the primary reasons. And on a personal note as well, I wanted to experience something global as a team, as well as the diversity that comes with it as well. While working in India as part of the global teams, supporting the teams in US, Canada, already in Europe, I could experience that our skill set out there in India is kind of very, very relevant out here as well. It's kind of widely accepted. And over the last 10 years, I think India has um, grown significantly in a way that its kind of acceptability has improved, acceptability has kind of increased of the skill set of the people on the technical side. I think we're doing pretty much the same stuff in India these days as we were doing in in the kind of Western countries as well, which wasn't the case, I would say, 15 years or 20 years ago. But then I think they're on quite par. So don't kind of worry in a way that your skill set or the experience that you get in Indian firms is kind of not accepted here. Especially if my focus is on the finance as a domain. Um, Linking that to Canada as well as the global landscape, the market obviously values some practical skills, programming skills, technical skills, and as I kind of pointed earlier as well, the global experience does count. So we're doing the hiring every day here, and while a Canadian experience matters because it helps you kind of be aware of how the culture, the diversity, and the difference in how the firms in India work versus how the firms in Canada works. But that's not a blocking point in terms of gaining some technical aspects in there as well. Academic credentials, I think I mentioned that as well. Um, our skill set is on par, our education system is on par with the global landscape. It's kind of widely accepted here in Canada as well. I kind of listed out, I mean, you guys are well in the AI kind of the landscape, it's well researched, the technical skills, the certifications, CFAs, the CPAs, the FRMs, the financial planners. I think you guys can well research all this certification, how they can help you get kind of like a launch pad, and don't kind of like have that as a barrier or something that kind of as used as a bridge to get your first role here in Canada. I put that as a launchpad, network and build credibility. Again, networking we're doing here as well as one of the sessions, and in that way, your first role is kind of doesn't define how your end career would look like or your later in the career would look like, but this essentially gives you a starting point to get your foothold here in the country. Um, Lastly, as Dr. Rishikesh pointed, I think it's very important that I share my personal journey as well. I think Canada as a country, it's kind of gives you a lot of opportunities, get you a lot of exposure to how the global landscape works, but it also tests you mentally. I think that's a very important point here in a way that we kind of grew up in a certain society. We kind of grew up in a certain way, and that kind of changes dramatically once you make the shift. In a kind of year or 6 months down the line, you kind of start to feel it. Um, that it kind of outside the work or outside your career, there is a life as well, and then you should just kind of like have some experiences that way as well, and it kind of dramatically shifts and kind of affects you, but be prepared for good. I think it kind of tremendously helps you to grow as an individual, um, and it kind of, while it is not that different, it's certainly kind of something you have to be very, very aware of mentally as well. So to kind of finish it off very quickly and get your what I experience is get your fields right, get your technical expertise or technical skills right, identify the key areas. Don't be afraid of taking the risks early in your career. If you want to make a shift, I think it's kind of something that you should be very well aware of, that there are transferable skills that you can pick up from one job and apply it into your next job as well. So don't be afraid of taking risks. Don't be afraid of getting your foot in the door and use that as a launchpad to get your career on track. If you're focusing on finance, for example, get your targeted credentials, get your degrees evaluated, and get your certifications. And obviously, as I said, the experience definitely helps. And on that point, I kind of would like to kind of pause here and either open for Q&A or something, move on to the next speaker.
We are open to take some questions now if you're okay, but per the structure format, I understand this Q&A is kept usually for the end. We are either ways okay. I'll leave it up to you.
So normally we have the Q&As in the end of the session. So can we move forward with the next
Okay.
speaker? Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Yes. Sure.
Sorry,
Thank you,
go ahead.
Mr. Mohit, for sharing your valuable experiences. Now it's my privilege to introduce our next speaker for today's session, Mr. Sreejit Andrews. Mr. Sreejit Andrews, a distinguished alumnus of Christ Dean-to-be University, belonging to the MBA in Finance class of 2010. Mr. Sreejit is currently serving as a senior sales executive at NTT Data Canada and brings with him intense experience in technology consulting, digital transformation, and client engagement. Today, he will share his experiences of building a career in Canada and offer practical insights into navigating the evolving global professional landscape. I warmly invite Mr. Sreejit Andrews to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Amazing. Thank you. And again, thanks one and all. I know it's post your office hours or college hours and you're staying and attending this. So really appreciate, because the three of us, life in Canada is very busy. With our work, we have spent time to make sure that we give you the best content. And I realize that I have less time, so I'll try to keep it a little short. So that's my quick journey. I come from a small town in Chhattisgarh, did my MBA, gained some experience for 2 years, joined Christ in 2008, and then was fortunate enough to get placed in a beautiful company called Mindtree as a business analyst. But it was more of a financial analyst than business analyst. We were sitting and creating financial models for 409 evaluation, one of the IRA regulations in the US for privately listed companies. Soon enough, I realized that I'm not made for finance. Having spent 2 years, doing MBA in finance, it took only 1 year for me to realize that I'm not a person to sit in front of Excel sheet for 9 hours a day crunching numbers. No. Then I had an opportunity to move into the IT side of the industry within Mindtree, and I should say that I did decently well there. I spent 13 years with Mindtree, different roles, always customer-facing roles. One good opportunity I got being in the consulting side is that I got an opportunity to be deployed in various countries that you see on the slide. Why that is important is because that actually taught me the culture, the work-life balance, the way people behave towards Indians, multiple aspects, right? It teaches you so much that it didn't make it difficult for me to decide when it was the time for me to decide that I want to spend some time abroad, because to boost the career, earn some good money, quality of life, whatnot. It was not too difficult for me to compare, say, Dubai versus Australia, because these were the 2-3 countries when me and my wife were sitting and discussing, what's the best country for us and for our kids. It was easy for us to decide that it is Canada. Applied for PR, did soft landing in 2018. Those who do not know, there is who have not explored yet. There is a fairly simpler process to actually get your PR. Now it has become quite delayed, but you get PR and then you come because the Canadian government wants talented people like us, hardworking people like us, to pay a lot of tax to the government, and so the country can thrive. Anyways, the moment I got PR, I started working towards making my move through Mindtree, because I had my good friends like Mohit and Jitin, lots of people who came here. They advised saying that try to get a transfer through your company. And one benefit of having spent a lot of time in one company is that you start knowing a lot of leaders. So pulled some strings, got some influence in decision making, and an opportunity was identified for me in Canada, and I moved into Canada 2020. Soon for me to realize that loyalty is something that we very ethically, while as good students, we say that, oh, I want to stick to the company, I want to give my sweat and blood to the company. Those days are gone, guys. Be selfish. Companies can lay you off anytime. Always try to build your career. Be selfish. Try to invest in yourself, because eventually it's your skills and expertise that will matter. Nothing else will matter in your career. One important thing, when you get a transfer, if you get a transfer, the company wants to make money. Company always wants to make money. So they'll bring you at a low salary so that they can bill the end client much higher, versus hiring a Canadian who they have to pay a much higher salary. So the company makes lesser margin. So come here, understand the whole culture, and then jump for much higher salary. That's what I did. I spent 3 years with Mindtree, paid my dues to the company, and then moved on to become a leader. I had a team. I was handling industry group in sales. By the way, in this whole 13 years journey, I switched from being a consultant into sales, which I love and enjoy, because you're always trying to solve customer problems. So I was with this company called Randstad Digital. I spent 3 years with them. And then I moved on to a company called Entity Data, and I had their banking and financial services industry here. When I was selling with Mindtree, I was selling into US banking financial services clients like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Chubb. And for the last 3-4 years, I've been selling into Canada. So I know how the buying behaviors are so different between US and Canada. So that is a quick nutshell about me. I live with my wife, who also studied with me in Christ, joined Mindtree as campus placement. We spent quite a lot of time together, naturally. We got together. We have 2 beautiful daughters, 10 and 5. I live here in Mississauga, Toronto. Move on quickly. I wanted to cover some of these important topics, right? And I want to make sure that I'm trying to keep it short. Overview of Canadian job market. Unlike many other countries, Canadian job market is very concentrated in for the people like us who are skilled and educated, like IT, finance, marketing, supply chain. All these jobs are predominantly in just 3 or 4 cities in Canada. Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Alberta, to name some. Majority Toronto and Vancouver. Canada is going through a tough job market, right? A lot of people are being laid off. AI coming in, senior people are ready to join at low salaries. So all those negative influence is there. Having said that, there is always demand for talented people, experienced people. It's really good for finance and IT and marketing, in my view. If you ask me to pick top 3 areas, IT, because it's a IT, a finance hub, actually, Toronto, right? And we all 3 of us live in and around Toronto. So these are the 3 key areas I would say would thrive. Having said that, the other areas also have good opportunities, but these would be the top 3 if I have to pick. What are the key challenges that freshers face when they come? Freshers will always, one of the questions we received in advance was, how to navigate, how the first job. It's always tough, yes, and you have to be very creative, and networking is something which is very, very important. And we have one of the best in the industry, Jitin, sitting here, who will guide us on how to network well and how to find your first job, perhaps. I am not an expert in finding the first job because I had a very different strategy to come to Canada because I wanted to move through my existing employer. So if you ask me one advice, try to gain experience for at least 2 years in India and then make your move to Canada, versus you finishing your MBA, jumping straight to Canada, which is going to be very difficult anyways. Without experience, you are not going to get PR so easily. So that is that. People are settling for low salaries, AI coming in. So it is going to be tough, right? But it's not going to be impossible. That's why I'm saying try to get some experience. Then it'll become so much more easier for you to get a job compared to you trying to find crack that first job here. Navigating AI influx, where I mean, it's being in technology. It's so important for me to tell you that you have to spend time and invest in yourself. Try doing courses. Spend 1 hour at least understanding what is happening technologically, because technology is disrupting all the industries, all business processes. The way people think, the way people work, everything is being changed by AI. So invest in yourself. Try to build agents that will do your work related activities, but also personally. So that's one question I wanted to ask. Like, how many of you actually have created agents that will ease your life? It took 5 minutes for me to put these slides together, but of course, I spent some time thinking of what these slides should be. So that is another point. Salary insights, I'll give you. Yeah, of course. Everybody thinks that, oh, Canada pays so much. Yes, Canada pays well. But the more experience you have in Canadian market, the relatively your salary will keep going higher. It's very expensive on a personal note. Yes, we earn a lot of money, but we pay a lot of tax. So eventually the savings is less. I will also talk about Canadian market thrives on something called consulting or gig economy. If you want to look up, where you incorporate as a company and then you per hour basis you charge the company. So there you don't pay as much tax as full-time salaried employees, but then the side effect of that is you will not get insurance, you will not get paid vacation. So it's always the pros and cons of comparing that. You always start on an average $50,000 to $60,000 is what the freshers start with. In my understanding and what I have seen in the last few years, the max you can go with 15, 20 years experience is 250 to 300K base, which is also rare actually, unless you are in sales where you make ton of commissions based on your sales. Career in IT, again, as I said, Canadians or Canadian companies generally are laggards compared to other a lot of developed countries. Nowhere comparable to US. US adopts technology and Canada waits for them to fail or succeed and learns, and then only once the big brother has learned it and done a solid work, Canadians will accept those technology. But now with this economy, the way our economy is, Canada is actually pacing up their technology adoption, and hence with AI coming in, I think this is the best time to be in IT, where everything is disrupting. You have to be so creative. You have to use so much of brains, so much of knowledge to actually add value to the industry. So I know I tried to rush. There is so much content, but feel free to get in touch on LinkedIn whenever you have any doubts, or any queries or any guidance. I'll hand it over to my dear friend Jitin.
Thank you, Mr. Sreejit, for that insightful session. Moving on, we have the final speaker for today's session, Mr. Jitin Joseph. Mr. Jitin Joseph, a distinguished alumnus of Christ Deemed to be University, belonging to the MBA in Marketing class of 2010. Mr. Jitin is currently an Enterprise Accountant Director at LinkedIn with over 14 years of experience in enterprise partnerships, business development, and strategic sales across India and Canada. Today, he will share his journey of building a successful career in Canada, along with his valuable insights into the opportunities, challenges, and lessons that have shaped his professional growth. Without further ado, I warmly invite Mr. Jitin Joseph to address the gathering.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's such a tough spot. I hate going after Sreejit's presentation. He does a fantastic job in getting those slides done, the talk track. it's tough to follow that up. So I'll try my best. Let me lower the bar a bit before I raise it up high. I'm not, as you can see from my slide, I'm not a slide guy. I'm not a tech guy. I'm just a sales guy. I was asked to come up with 2 slides to talk about my journey, and here I am. Batch of 2010. We all are from the batch of 2010. Mohit was lucky enough to be in my class, sharing the desk with me. So kudos to him for that. Like Sreejit mentioned, it's important to have a bit of work experience before you move to a new country. And I would say it's even better to have a little bit of work experience before you get your MBA, and that's what I did. I worked for 2 years prior to MBA. I'm a science graduate. I did my I worked in a call center, basically selling to the folks in US and Canada back in the day. And then I did my MBA. I moved on from there to purely sales. Got campus selected at Hindu, and then I started my career as a media rep. I loved every bit of it. I worked for Times of India for 4 years, a Hindu newspaper, selling advertisement, going door to door, going to different retail stores, talking to at least 20, 30 people a day. It kind of felt like a torture back then, but now I realize like it was a stepping stone, for me to go and work in a different country altogether. So I worked there for 6 years in India after my MBA, and I realized the media life is very colorful. It doesn't give you much money. It's a flamboyant lifestyle and all those things. It's good for the parties, seeing celebrities. But if you have to make money, and I'll be blunt here, you got to be selfish. You got to move out of the country if you have to do that. Now it's different for different people. There is no commissions. There is no much money in media there. But I've seen techies. I've seen people in the engineering, finance field make a ton of money in India itself. So I made the decision to move out of the country. Similar to Sreejit, the first option, like a Malayali, was always to go to Gulf. But I was miserable. They didn't select me at all. They didn't like me. I tried different countries after that, Australia, New Zealand. They all rejected me. and then finally, I applied for Canada, and that happened. And I would say that was the best decision by far in my life. It was a struggle. Like you can see, I have that's a picture that I took when I landed first time. I had a head full of hair. I was lean. Things have changed in the last 10 years. You can see clearly. So that's me after 10 years of struggle. But life is good. Stay with a wife who again studied with me in Christ. Some perks of studying at Christ. Have 2 kids. So since Canada happened, I moved here. I had just one aim in my life. I wanted to work in the same field I worked in Bangalore. So I didn't want to come here, do odd jobs, work in a coffee shop, do Uber. I was not lucky like Sreejit to find a job from there itself. So I really struggled hard, focused to make sure that I'm not deviating from my end goal of working in the media space itself. So that's one thing a lot of people do. They come with open heart and they're like, okay, let me just do whatever comes my way. The first thing I would highly recommend to not do that if you're trying to move to a different country. Focus on your end game. I was lucky enough to find a job in the first 60 days. Things were different back in the day, but now it's changed. It's tough. I found a job in George Media, started again as ad sales, worked in Stingray Media, which is again radio, digital ads. And then COVID happened. A lot of layoffs happened, and I decided to move my career from media to tech sales, which is again a high-paying job in North America. I did some certifications. I started building my network. I'm going to talk more about that in my next slide. I started finding people in the same industry, started getting mentors from the same industry, and was lucky enough to find my first job at Shutterstock in the software space. And from there, for the last 5 years, I've been working at LinkedIn, just selling their enterprise sales solution software. So that's my journey. And one piece of advice, like I mentioned previously, it's people are going to give you different stories. Everyone has their story. Just believe in yourself. If you have made the decision to move out of India for a better life, for a better salary, for a better future, just listen to your gut feeling and just make that move. Sreet, can we go to the next slide? I know we have, I have like, I think a couple of minutes left on this slide. So there's a lot of content here, but if you have to take one thing out of this, I would say that's the headline. Build a network before you need it. Your network is your net worth. It's the one thing that I did differently when I got my PR back in 2015 was I decided to move in 2016, and the next 6 to 8 months I was just relaxing. I'm like, I can hustle when I am there in Canada, but if I could go back in time, I would start building my network when I was in India. Similar to you guys, if you're in India right now, if you know what industry you want to be in, if you know, and it's not just for anyone who wants to move out, anyone who's looking for a job right now, you want to stay back in India, still it's not a bad idea to start building your network. And what I mean by that is not just randomly going online and sending 100 connection requests. Be very genuine in your approach. you know Reach out to people for one simple thing, to learn more from them, not just for asking for jobs. You see an open opportunity, it's easier for you to reach out to them saying that, hey, I found this opportunity, can you refer me? You lose your trust there. Start slowly, start building partnerships, start building connections with them. That's my biggest advice, and that's the biggest takeaway from this slide. Now, I might be a bit biased here. Point number 2 is your profile. There's only way people can learn more about you is via your LinkedIn profile. And I've done multiple sessions with different universities here in North America on how to rock your profile. I have a full-fledged deck of 25 slides. I can send it over to you. That'll give you a good guidance on how to work on your profile to make it stand out. Have a wonderful profile picture, not like the one you saw on the previous slide, but a good headshot. Put a nice headline, get recommendations from your colleagues, from your friends. It does matter. Even if your colleagues, even if your classmates can give you recommendation, it goes a long way. Fill your LinkedIn profile with all the certifications. Even if you've worked at a place for 3 months, make sure you add that in your LinkedIn profile. Add all the content that you have created so far. It goes a long way. Fill your profile with every single thing that you have done so far. Add your education. Add the subject line for every single work that you have done. Give more detail as much as possible. Point number 3 is, like I said, be very genuine in your approach, and just don't reach out to people when you want a job or when you want a referral. Try building connections, try commenting on their posts, sharing, try building that natural thing with all those people that you want to work with in the future. And last piece of advice, we always look for people in our own circle. I've done this mistake. When I was looking for jobs, I always go for, okay, is there anyone who worked or who studied at Christ previously? And if someone studied in Christ previously, is there someone from South India that I can reach out first? Is there anyone with a Joseph surname that have that Malayali connection? It's all waste. Reach out to people outside of your comfort zone, not just Christites. Reach out to everyone. I mean, it's a numbers game. The more number of people you try reaching out, the better your chances are. So be fearless, go out there, and whatever decision you make, it's going to be the best one for you. All right, I think we decided to keep 30 minutes. Let's see what it looks like.
Serene, you're you can
Yes,
open up
sir.
the Q&A.
Thank you, Mr. Jitin Joseph, for sharing your valuable experiences. It was an absolute privilege to gain insight from your collective experiences and diverse perspectives today. Having the three of you share your unique points in Canadian higher education and its evolving career landscape has provided us with an incredibly rich, well-grounded roadmap for the future. We'll now open the floor for Q&A session. If you have any questions, you can either raise your hand or you can type them in the chat box and we'll take up one by one. So there is a question in the chat box. The question is, how is the competitive landscape now and what was it about 5 to 7 years back?
I can take that, guys, if you want. So I worked for almost 3 years. I worked for this company called Randstad Digital, which is the world's largest recruitment company. So I have seen this firsthand, and when I joined, which was like 4 or 5 years back, the things were so different compared to now. One, a geopolitical situation, because of the war, fuel prices actually impacts everything down the supply chain, and when the companies don't make money, they start shedding their jobs and try to go lean, plus AI on top of it. Long story short, 5 to 7 years back, it would have been much easier to find a job than now. And that is why I cannot emphasize any more to keep investing yourself. If you don't stay relevant, people who are investing in themselves will eat up your job. So it's not a time when you can just swing by a company and then they'll accept you with their open arms. No, you have to prove it, you have to earn it, for which you have to invest beforehand. As Jitin said, build your network before you need it, invest into your skills before you need it.
I hope the answer is clear. Moving on to the next question. The question is, what challenges are faced by freshers and how to tackle them?
Yeah, I don't know if we are the right people to talk about that, because when we came here back in this
There's
bus,
too much of background noise. We couldn't hear you, Jitin. Yes, I'll go on mute. I don't know if it is.
Mohit, I think it's yours.
It was his. Yeah.
Mohit is on a cruise having fun, you know.
With the office background.
Yeah, so answer your question, freshers, as I said, you know, we all come when we move to a country, we always, and there's no fault of anyone, we are always desperate to find that first job. You know, we always think that it's so important to get something in the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. You know, we always want to make sure that we want to get a job right in the beginning itself, and that's one of the biggest challenges the freshers face. And when you don't have the sort of experience, like if you haven't worked in India before, that becomes even more challenging. So I would say the biggest challenge as a fresher when I came here was having zero understanding of Canadian culture. You know, I didn't care about how people worked here, how they felt. You know, if I'm not wishing them good morning, or you know, if I'm the way I worked in India, or in terms of sales, it was more of an emotional selling. I could call people at 7 o'clock. I could reach out to them whatever time I want. That's not the case here. So, understanding the culture, learning a bit more about the Canadian landscape if you're moving here really helps go a long way. And those are some of the challenges freshers face. But again, it's no rocket science. You come to this country, spend time here, be a nice citizen for the first few months. You learn those things pretty easily. I hope I answered some of those pointers. Do you have anything to add, Sreejit or Mohit?
No, I think you covered it, Jitin. And I'm just seeing there are quite a few questions, and we have only 12 minutes left, so we'll try to keep it as quick as possible. So the next one is by Manish. Hello, I would like to ask the panel, master's program is still a good gateway into the Canadian workforce in 2026, or if candidates should focus on skills?
Yeah, I just have a quick point on that. I have a very close friend of mine who came here for a master's program. Things have changed drastically here. Earlier, it used to be like you come here on a student visa, and then you work here for a few years, and then it's much more easy to get a PR. It's not the case now. It's so expensive to study here. And again, don't get me wrong. If you're coming here to study in one of the universities, it's a different story. If you come here to study in Queen's University or York University to do an MBA, you will get the best job possible. But if you're just moving to Canada to just get a visa, and the medium is getting into some colleges or schools, I still don't think it's a great idea. It's a waste, because you spend a ton of money, and by the time you end up saving that amount of money that you spend, gonna be a long time. It's
Remember,
not.
I would any days compare that to you spending that much time building skills and gaining experience in India, and then coming and finding a job would be much easier than you coming spending lakhs of rupees to do some course nobody cares about, because you already have a decent course. MBA from Christ is, I mean, I'm very grateful to what I did with Christ. Beautiful university. There are lots of people, once they reach senior leadership level, like VPs and above, including some of our Christ seniors, they would be like, to show they'll need a Wharton or, Pennsylvania University and all that. But the actual career that they have built is purely based on the Christ University's degree. So guys, don't come here to study, gain experience and then come. Okay, next question. Sonam, from someone looking to move to Canada, how much of an advantage is bilingualism? Mohit, you want to take this French and English advantage?
Yeah, probably I'll just mute it if that kind of is disturbing. Bilingualism, it's an important topic, but I wouldn't say this is the most like relevant in a way that you need it. It's not an absolute must. It's an edge. Yes, it's an edge. If you are in a government job or if you are in a public service, French is kind of like mandatory in some of those services. But if you are like a specific targeted industry, it's not a must. It's nice to have, of course. French diaspora is quite large here. There are huge clients who are French speaking, and in a way, it helps to kind of get an edge if you have a bilingual. But it's not a must to have. And mostly English is kind of. I don't know French. I don't know French. I'm pretty sure. Or Sreejit and you can do know French, but I think we are still surviving and we're doing good. It's nice to have, but it's not a must to have. It's kind of gives you an edge in a public space, but in a private space, it's kind of, as I said, it's nice to have, but it's not a must to have. Probably I'll just continue to tackle. I think it's an interesting question about the racism here in Canada. We have been fortunate enough not to experience that, but I can understand in a kind of social media age, there's a lot of commentary going on in the last few years. I think there has been I think it's related to influx of people that's coming from India as well. And it's my personal opinion. It's not a psychology class. It's not something as a consultant on immigration. It's largely because the number is so huge, and Indian as kind of community is doing good. I would say on an average, if I kind of compare it against the other communities, we're kind of doing good as a race as well. So it kind of puts us in a spotlight. And if someone puts you in a spotlight, you will get some negativity as well. But overall, it's been tremendously positive. I think we've gotten into, as a community, we have gotten into policy making as well. But the policy makers have done some mistakes, which kind of have led to this kind of. But don't get discouraged by that. I think it gets a lot of commentary, but on the ground, in your working space, in kind of on the floor where you work, I haven't experienced anything, and it's been super positive for me and a lot of individuals. I think 20% of our workforce is Indian at the moment, and that tells you how good we are doing as a community.
Yes, I would like to add.
Yes, sir.
Sorry,
Continue,
go ahead.
please. No, sir, you can continue.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add. It's rather, yes, there is racism, and like Mohit, fortunately, I have not faced it personally. But there is a lot of racism growing now. One, because of too many Indians coming in all these countries, not just Canada, but Europe or Australia or US. Second, the worst thing that things are making worse is the localites are losing jobs, not just because there are more Indians, but because of the geopolitical situation. And we are ready to take that job, which a white person would take for a much lower salary and do probably rather a better job. So that insecurity is building up more and more. And then, of course, politics. So one request, if anybody goes abroad, not just Canada, try to respect their culture, their cleanliness. You may think that what you're doing is right, but if you actually put yourself in their shoes and see, that would not be very appreciative. They would not be very appreciative. So try to adapt, respect the local people, their culture, their sports, everything. Don't try to be to push your Indianness into any other country. That will never be appreciated. So that's a request. Whoever moves out of India. Okay, Shivang, job market as a BBA, PWD candidate. Jitin, you have some friends who are in PWD, right?
Apologies. What do you mean by PWD?
Well, Shivang, okay, well, actually another request. If anybody is posting the question to save time, I understand, but if it is just out of shyness, please guys come out of it. This is a time you should actually we will remember some if you show your face and ask a question. Probably it'll be easier for us to accept your LinkedIn connection and call you and guide, or you accept your call and guide you, than you posting. We'll forget all these names. Anyways, coming to Shivang. Shivang, you want to ask your question and elaborate? What public work? I don't know. Is that social work related? I don't know what exactly. Because I think it is the.
I think probably it's Cherry here. I think he probably meant PhD candidate. He probably mistyped it as PWD.
Okay. So until Shivang comes back, I will take the liberty to skip this question. Not trying to be rude. I'm just respecting everybody's time.
Also, guys, like Sreejit mentioned, open up. If you want to ask a question, please feel free to go off mute. And anyone who goes off mute and asks a question, I'm going to give a 6 months free premium subscription for LinkedIn. So, it's
6 months premium subscription.
Expensive one. Anyone who wants a 6 month, I can go up to 5 or even extend it to 10 people. So open up. The next question, since USA has been really bad job market, would you also prefer? Now the thing is, people are not accepting applications the way they accept applications in Canada. It's Europe is a different market. Everyone wants to go and work in Europe because it's a beautiful country. The climate is great, but the fact is, it's difficult. You can only go and work there if you studied there, if you have a spouse working there, if you have a visa for those countries. But with my experience, where I've tried different locations, the easiest route is the Canadian market. US is very, very difficult. You know what's going on these days, so it's really, really difficult. All right, moving on. I know we just have 3 minutes. Anyone wants to go off mute and ask a question? If not,
so I just have one quick question. I'm Rishikesh this side. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I've just generally heard our students experience something called this imposter syndrome, the kind of feeling that you don't truly belong to that place despite being capable of. And even after several years, people have that sense of lack of belongingness. I just wanted to know whether you had also encountered that, and how does one overcome that?
That's a great question. So I would say every single day, I go through the same feeling every single day. I always think that we always have this inferiority complex, thinking that, we might not be able to match their accent, what they're talking, specifically in sales, where it's less of technical skills and you just have to speak to your customers on a daily basis. I go through that every day. At the end of the day, in all honesty, once you have been in the industry working for so many years, it doesn't matter. You're never gonna perfect the art of selling or doing a job in the most perfect way. So all I'm saying is, come with an open mind. The imposter syndrome is gonna stay even if you try to remove it. You read 10 different books, you try to master the skill, it's still gonna be there. Just gonna live with it. That's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Shivang gets a premium subscription. Shivang, send me a connection request. You'll be the first person to get. At least you came on chat.
I just wanted to add, it's a very interesting example. One of the great leaders I've had an opportunity to work with. Think of it like the lobster who actually has to break its shell to grow. So it's always a good analogy. When you think that you have become comfortable, you're feeling resistant to move and do that next brave step that will, that will make you grow in your career. Just break that shell, come out of it, and then you will get a new shell and you will grow further. So always keep that in mind. Maybe print it out and say that, hey, I should not fear to take that bold step forward. That will help me grow.
And also, guys, one great thing about this market is they all know that we Indians are super hardworking people. We have worked so hard, and they appreciate the fact that we are really hardworking people. So, that, at the end of the day, all that matters is your hard work and the effort that you're putting in.
Hello. Sir, I really wanted to ask a thing. A fellow mate of ours asked a really interesting question that I also wanted to know, from your point of view. The question is something like, if you were in our position today as undergraduate students, what would be your roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years? It's a really cool, interesting question that I found. So if you can answer, it would be really great. Thank you.
I can take that up again. I think as we have covered this a few times, first of course, try to get some job experience. Like lots of us want to jump straight into post graduation. This is again my personal opinion. Everybody can have their view, but after your graduation, try to work for at least 2 years, gain some industry experience. Then you can either try to move to Canada or try to do a post graduation degree. It's up to you. But having that 2 years of experience will help you both in doing your masters, or if you want to straight jump into Canadian market and explore. I just want to be respectful of that question of personnel with disability. Canada is one of the best countries which respects and has provisions for job security for people with disability. Doesn't matter you're doing BBA or BCom or MBA. If you are skilled, but but you have some or the other disability, you have provisions in each of these enterprises as part of their ESG, right, social responsibility. They're supposed to have you given some preference. It's very accessible, the whole country. You can go everywhere. There are special assistance by the government, a lot of programs for people with disability. So it's a beautiful country, many times better than many of the countries we have experienced.
Yes, sir. Due to paucity of time, we will not be able to engage further questions. Can we move to the conclusion?
Oh, we are supposed to conclude? I didn't. Okay. Well, you want us to conclude, or you want to conclude?
No, I'll be concluding. We
Oh,
won't be
okay. Yeah,
engaging
go
further
ahead.
questions, just that.
Go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
As we come to the conclusion of this enriching session of the Global Connect webinar series, Canada Chapter Session 3, I take this opportunity on behalf of the Office of Alumni Engagement and Christ Deemed to be University to express our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has contributed to making this event a meaningful and memorable one. First and foremost, a sincere thank you to our distinguished speakers, Mr. Jitin Joseph, Mr. Mohit Grover, and Mr. Sreejit Andrews,
Oh,
for
that's
graciously
sweet.
sharing their time, expertise, and experiences. Your valuable insights into higher education and pathways to studying and working in Canada have undoubtedly inspired and empowered our students and participants. We extend our sincere appreciation to the management of Christ Deemed to be University for their continued support and engagement. We express our heartfelt appreciation to the Office of Alumni Engagement for their constant support and dedicated efforts in making this webinar a success. A special word of appreciation to the members of the Canada chapter for their invaluable support and commitment in making this webinar possible. Finally, heartfelt thank you to all our alumni, faculty members, students, and participants for joining us this evening and making the session truly engaging and worthwhile. Before we conclude, we are delighted to invite you to the next session of the Global Connect webinar series, North American Chapter, Session 4, titled Cultural Adaptation and Professional Life in North America, featuring Dr. Sharanya Govindaraj, and which will be held on the 21st July at 8 p.m. We encourage you all to join us for another insightful session. With that, we formally conclude today's session. Thank you once again for being a part of the Global Connect series webinar. We wish you all a pleasant evening and looking forward to welcoming you to our future sessions. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Stay connected.
Thank you, everyone.